and welcome to Kids Corner on Armstrong Channel 20. I'm Miss Krista, and I'm so excited today to be at Poland Union Elementary School with Mrs. Colela's and Mrs. Flasco's first grade classes. We have a special treat today. We actually have the author of the book that we're reading here. So you get to meet an author, and his wife, Miss Mary Kay, is going to read the book, The Forgotten Pumpkin by Mr. Hugh Earnhardt. After that, the kids are going to make their very own pumpkin pages. But they're not going to just use regular paint and paintbrush. They're going to use potatoes. Did you know that jack-o'-lanterns, when they were first invented, there were no pumpkins around, so they were made out of potatoes and turnips and other vegetables like that. So in honor of the pumpkin, we're going to use a potato. I really hope that you love our book by our author, Mr. Hugh Earnhardt, and his wife, Miss Mary Kay, who will be reading it. I hope that you try this activity, and if you would like Armstrong to come to your school, have a grown-up email us at channel20, that's channel20@agoc.com. I think I hear the students coming now. Let's get ready. Who knows what season this is? Let's see. You in the blue. Yes, you. What season is this? October. You're right. It's October. And what happens in October? You, Superman. Girl.
It's fall.
It's fall. You're right. And there's lots of new things growing that you usually don't see grow in the spring. What is growing right now? You in the red. Mums are growing. You're right. Bravo. I need to get some of those. You. Plants are growing, you're right. What else is growing? Pumpkins are growing! There's pumpkins everywhere right now, so you need to save your pennies in your penny pots for your pumpkins. Who's going to get a pumpkin this year?
I'm getting one.
You already got? Oh, wow, some of you already got them. What happens after everyone gets their pumpkins? After everyone's done getting their pumpkins and it's November. Let's say it's November. What happens if there's pumpkins left over? What happens?
They get rotten.
They get rotten. Why didn't anybody pick those pumpkins, do you think? Why, Mario Luigi guy?
Because they didn't want any.
They didn't want any. Oh no, so nobody wanted that pumpkin, huh? I bet that pumpkin felt pretty lonely, huh? Well, guess who we have with us today? Not only do I get to come, Miss Krista, but we have Mr. Hugh Earnhardt, and Mr. Hugh wrote this book, The Forgotten Pumpkin. And Mr. Hugh, how did you come up with the idea for this book?
Well, one day I was traveling down the highway, looking around, and I saw this big field of pumpkins. And the farmer and all his helpers were out collecting the pumpkins. And several days later, I came back by that field and I noticed this one pumpkin laying way out the edge of the field. And I thought, how come they didn't take that one? Why is that one left? So several days later, I went by that farm again. There that pumpkin was, still there. So I have a Siamese cat. His name is Boxcar Willie. And he strolled into the yard one day, real thin, kind of a haggard looking specimen, and now he's fat and sassy, of course. And I was grading papers and he was laying in the middle of the papers, and I thought, you know, wonder if this cat sitting on top of the pumpkin, wonder what it'd look like. And then next thing you know, I added the wise old owl, and then I call them the forest gang, the people who the animals rather who live in the forest. And there's the raccoon, and there's the beaver, and there's the deer, and the owl, and the fox. And this gang of the forest decided to rescue that pumpkin. And then whenever I didn't want to do what I was supposed to do, I would fool around writing this story. And over a period of 3 or 4 years, it finally got on paper. My wife, Mary Kay here, she typed it up, and we gave it to the grandkids one day for Christmas. And they all liked it and so forth. And then the next thing you know, I decided, well, I'm going to publish this and see where it goes. So I found a girl by the name of Susan Ertl who lives down around Cincinnati, and she is a wonderful illustrator, as you'll see from some of the pictures. And she drew it, and the book finally came out, and for just in time for the Halloween season this year.
So this is a brand new book.
It's brand new.
Well, we're also lucky enough to have Miss Mary Kay here, who is a retired Youngstown City school teacher. So she's a teacher too, and she's going, and Mr. Hugh was a teacher at YSU, and Miss Mary Kay was a teacher at Youngstown City Schools, and Miss Mary Kay is going to read this book for us.
Does anybody know what we call this page in the book? Yes, ma'am. Very good, the title page. Does anybody know what's on the title page? Pink hair ribbon back there. You. I'm sorry? A picture of what it's about. Anything else on this page, do you see?
There's an animal up top.
Oh, that's my cat. That's Willie. Boxcar Willie, there he is. Yes, anything else? You.
There's pictures around it.
There's pictures. Something else you're missing with the glasses. Leaves?
There's the title of the story.
Oh, that's good. See, she's sitting right up front. She said there's the title of the story. That's why they call this the title page. The title means the name of the story. And then down here, and you can probably, it's hard to see in the back. Yes.
There's this thing that tells them who it's by and who's it's illustrated.
Oh, that's wonderful. Tells you who wrote the book and who drew the pictures. And what's a big word for the person that draws the pictures? Okay, you.
The illustrator.
Very good, the illustrator. You guys know lots of stuff about books. Okay, do you? Well, it was late in the fall season and time to gather the final harvest of summer's hard work. The corn, cabbage, turnips, squash, and pumpkins were the last crops to be taken from the fields that lay around the farmhouse and the barns of Mr. Pond. With Halloween fast approaching, the hundreds of orange pumpkins of different sizes and shapes needed to be gathered. These pumpkins, some a deep orange and others a yellowish orange, were a pretty picture to the eyes of the travelers on the dirt road that passed by the farm. Who's this guy?
A scarecrow.
A scarecrow. Who's he supposed to scare?
The crows.
The crows.
It's easy to know because scarecrow.
Crow. Well, one sunny morning, when the frost was still upon the ground, Farmer Pond and his sons took their green tractor and the old wagon to the pumpkin field. They began to pick the pumpkins to take to market for making jack-o'-lanterns or pumpkin pie. And there was one large pumpkin that grew next to the woods, far from the road. Mr. Pond, in a hurry to finish gathering the pumpkins, forgot to pick it. Can you see it back there?
No.
You can't see that?
I see it.
Oh, there he is. Yep, the scarecrow's there. But here's the pumpkin they forgot. All right, let's see what happens now. This very beautiful pumpkin was very sad, and it had been forgotten and left behind as the other pumpkins were hauled away in the wagon. It began to cry, thinking of its misfortune and unhappiness. During the night, the crying of the pumpkin became so loud that it woke all the animals in the nearby forest. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you saw that. Way back there, what does it say here? Boo-hoo. Let's everybody say boo-hoo. Wonder what this is. What do you think?
Animals.
Animals' eyes, right? Owl was the first to hear the crying. Soon deer, rabbit, raccoon, mouse, fox, beaver, squirrel, snake, and blue jay all heard the crying, and they wondered who could be so sad. So they gathered at the edge of the field and asked, "Pumpkin, why are you crying?" In between sobs, Pumpkin explained, "Farmer Pond picked all the pumpkins in the field and forgot me." That's what happened. I have grown big and orange and would make a smiley jack-o'-lantern. Soon I won't even be good for pumpkin pie. As the forest animals looked at the sad pumpkin and then at each other, they wondered how they could help. Suddenly, Owl spoke. "I have a plan." She explained her plan very carefully, and they all began to talk at once and then became silent. With smiles on their faces, they began to work. Let's turn the page and see what they're going to do here. Well, Beaver used his sharp teeth to cut the pumpkin stem from the vine. And Snake wrapped his long body around the stem and started a pull. Fox, deer, squirrel, raccoon, and rabbit joined in by pushing Pumpkin with all their strength. Wonder where they're going to put it. Mouse stayed out of the way and chattered encouragement, and the blue jay flew overhead, shouting the directions towards the dirt road. Slowly but surely, the animals moved Pumpkin and made their way across the field to reach the road that went past the farmhouse. It was still dark, but soon the sun would bring light. Wow, that was a hard job. Do you think?
Yeah, I'll give you that sword.
Whew. After resting a short while, Fox took his claw and drew the outline of a happy face on Pumpkin. Rabbit said the eyes should be a little bigger so Pumpkin could see better. Then all the creatures of the forest began to get the once sad Pumpkin ready for the Halloween season. It does. It says, good friends. What do good friends do? Yes.
They help their friends if they're hurt or feel.
Right, they help each other, don't they? All right. Now, Blue Jay and Owl made the eyes just like Rabbit suggested. Mouse shaped the nose and Raccoon formed the mouth. While Beaver was busy cutting off the top, Deer and Snake built a mound of dirt on which to sit the pumpkin. But where was Squirrel? Look, said Beaver. He has hollowed out the inside of the pumpkin. Soon they were finished and all stood back and marveled at the smiling face. What did they do? What do you think Squirrel said here? Surprise! And then over here he says, ta-da! Okay. All of this activity during the night caught the attention of Farmer Pond's Siamese cat and basset hound. And both of them soon came running down the dirt road to see what was happening. Let's go. They wanted to get in on the act, I think. When Dog saw Pumpkin's face, he said it needed some light, and he hurried off in the direction of the hayfield. Wonder what that's about. Returning shortly, he was followed by a swarm of lightning bugs that entered Pumpkin and like magic began lighting Pumpkin's face. And there's magic. This was magic. You got to remember that. For the next few weeks, children and their parents came from far and wide down the little dirt road to see the beautiful jack-o'-lantern with the smiling face. And all who saw it said it was the best pumpkin face they had ever seen, especially with the Siamese cat sitting on top, Pumpkin on the top. And Pumpkin was so happy, happy, happy. And I want you to read that last sentence with me, everybody. Pumpkin was so happy, happy, happy. And that's the end of the Forgotten Pumpkin, because he wasn't forgotten anymore. And this is the Forest Gang. These are all the animals that helped make Pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern.
They built the big dirt pile to put Pumpkin on it so everybody can see it.
That's right. When they're driving past, because they built a big dirt mound, then they could see the jack-o'-lantern much better, right?
The front of the title says the Forgotten Pumpkin, and in the story they forgot the pumpkin.
They did, but he wasn't forgotten at the end of the story, was he? No. He was very, what? Happy, happy, happy.
Well, whose first time is this ever meeting a real live author? It's Miss Krista's first time too. I've never gotten to meet an author before. It's your second time, is it?
That's my second time because I won.
Oh, that's right. That's true. If you are an author, then you've met yourself. Very
right.
well done, indeed. Yes, young lady.
My neighbor's an author.
Your neighbor's an author. Maybe Mr. Hugh knows your neighbor. Authors like to stick together. Well, what do we say to Mr. Hugh and Miss Mary Kay for bringing this wonderful book to us?
Thank you!
And do you think you'll see Mr. Hugh at some pumpkin walks going on? And you can get a copy of The Forgotten Pumpkin, which just came out. You were probably one of the very first audiences to hear it.
They are.
Wonderful.
They are.
Mr. Hugh, thank you so much for being here. I know you must go tend to your pumpkins and your cat and other things now, so we really appreciate it. Miss Mary Kay, thank you so much.
And I'd like to thank you for being such a good audience.
We should give them a hand.
Guess what Mr. Hugh said? Mr. Hugh Earnhardt, the author of The Forgotten Pumpkin, is giving Poland Union Library the very first copy. So this will be in your library, and Mr. Hugh is going to sign it and give it to your teachers, okay? So we will give this to Mr. Hugh.
Thank you.
And if
Thank
would
you.
be so kind to sign it.
And I'm going to give this to the school so that you all can read it.
What I've got on my head? Don't say a bull. Who knows what I've got on my head? What do I have on my head? I have an item that was used as the very first jack-o'-lantern. It's a potato. Before there were pumpkins, and listen, in England, where jack-o'-lantern started, they didn't have pumpkins yet. There were no pumpkins. So they used potatoes or turnips to carve their very first jack-o'-lanterns. Halloween's a very, very old holiday. And it didn't start in America, but it's a good thing it's here now, right? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is give everyone, I cut these potatoes at home, and I cut them in half, and this is going to be your potato stamper. So you take it, you put it in the orange paint, and then you stamp it onto the page. That's going to be your pumpkin. Guess what else? What else do you have at your seats? Who has a pencil? Who has a pencil at their seat? Let me see your pencils. What is wrong with those pencils? They're not sharpened. Guess why? The eraser part of that pencil is your other paintbrush. So that is for the green of the leaves or the black viney vines that were in Mr. Earnhardt's book, The Forgotten Pumpkin. What else do you have in front of you? What else? What are those green things? Q-tips, bravo! You have Q-tips in front of you, and that's also another one of your paint brushes to draw the viney vines of your pumpkins, okay? So everyone gets a potato, and once you get it, you can start stamping. So I got the paint on here, and then I stamp. Pumpkin number 1. I stamp again. Pumpkin number 2. Okay, and if you did one big pumpkin, that's okay too. It is okay. Fun today in Mrs. Flasco's and Mrs. Kalela's first grade classes at Poland Union Elementary School. Not only did we have a special guest author come in, Mr. Hugh Earnhardt, and his wife, Miss Mary Kay, read from his book, The Forgotten Pumpkin. After that, we got to make our very own pumpkin paintings. And we didn't just use paintbrushes, we used potatoes, because potatoes, of course, were one of the first jack-o'-lantern vegetables because there weren't pumpkins when jack-o'-lanterns started. We also used eraser tops from just regular pencils, and we used Q-tips as paintbrushes. I hope that you loved this activity. I hope you really enjoyed the book. And if you would like Armstrong to come to your school, have a grown-up email us at channel20, that's channel20 @agoc.com. I hope you have a fantastic day.